Hey guys, it's Protendo, and Nintendo just released their Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase. They only showed off a few things in the 8-minute presentation, said things being DLC for Cadence of Hyrule, a shooter called Rogue Company, this weird WWE game, and finally, finishing off with the announcement of a Shin Megami Tensei remake and a tease for 5, the game receiving a release window of 2021. Before I get into this video, I feel like it's important for me to clarify that I'm not hating on anyone who enjoyed the Direct, nor am I saying that any of these games are bad. Well, the WWE one looks pretty bad, but that's it. This video isn't made in an attempt to divide the Nintendo fanbase even further, because despite me disliking this presentation, I feel like even those who enjoyed it will be able to agree with some of the points I make in this video. Let's establish something right off the bat. No, you're not an entitled baby for being disappointed, despite what some people online will try to say. You have the right to be dissatisfied with the company's performance, just as people are allowed to be happy with it. Especially when we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Nintendo. Am I saying that people should be crying out to Nintendo and screaming about how their lives are ruined just because a couple of games weren't announced? No, absolutely not. Those people are a vocal minority that are seen by fans and are assumed to be the typical critic, thus creating the toxic notion of criticism being a bad thing. That being said, I personally believe that Nintendo releasing this Direct Mini when they did was an incredibly tone-deaf move on their part. It's easy to paint Nintendo as a victim of senseless anger in this situation, but we have to remember what Nintendo's year has looked like so far. First party wise, we've received 2 original games and a remake. 2 of those have been excellent, but it's 3 games nonetheless. But don't worry, I'm not forgetting about the pandemic that the world is currently in, because clearly it's something that's impeded development in some way. I could go into how the year was already looking to be a bit emptier even before the outbreak began, but that's not particularly relevant. Something that's important to remember though is that Nintendo's minimal game output hurts them more than it hurts us. Luckily for them, they have Animal Crossing to ride off of in terms of sales, but even so, when it comes time to talk to investors and Nintendo doesn't have anything to show for themselves, they're the ones who are going to be hurting. And with Sony and Microsoft preparing their next-gen systems, this was literally the worst possible year for Nintendo to do poorly, minus the Switch launch year of course. The one thing Nintendo needed were some first-party titles. So surely people can understand why some fans reacted the way they did to the news of Nintendo releasing an 8-minute long third-party exclusive presentation. That isn't to say that every person who's been criticizing the company is doing so out of some heartfelt desire to see them succeed. Obviously most people just want games. But as a consumer, that's still a reasonable complaint to have, especially when Sony dropped bombshell after bombshell in their presentation and Microsoft could potentially follow suit later this week, even if not to the extent of the PS5 reveal. And that's why the Direct Mini felt like such a slap in the face to so many. I've seen so many people claim that the critics of the Direct are idiots because Nintendo explicitly said that the presentation was going to be third party, so they had no reason to be upset. But they're completely missing the point. Most people weren't angry because we didn't get the 3D Mario Collection or Breath of the Wild 2 in a Direct Mini Partner Showcase. They were angry because the Direct Mini Partner Showcase shouldn't have been a mini partner showcase to begin with. It's aggravating to see that part of the community constantly villainized just because they aren't happy that Nintendo's Direct drought is still continuing. Once again though, I acknowledge that both parts of the community have their bad apples and it's not some sort of good versus evil scenario. Something else that really hurts Nintendo more than it helps them in this current situation is the lack of transparency. They've hardly said anything about the hardships faced during the pandemic or how things are moving along, if things are moving along. I'd almost have more respect for them if they just came out and said, yeah, we don't have anything for this period of time, instead of leaving their community in the dark. This silence also gives power to rumors and leaks as the fanbase desperately tries to grab onto anything after being ignored for so long. I feel like the effect of rumors on the community is a topic large enough for another video, but let me just say that personally, I still would have been disappointed with the Direct Mini announcement even if the Mario rumors didn't exist, because I still would have expected something substantial from Nintendo after they were silent for so long. And I feel like I'm not alone in that. So to finish off the video, let me just reiterate that I'm happy for all the people who got games that they wanted. I know that Shin Megami Tensei fans are rejoicing right now, and I'm glad. However, I'm still disappointed with Nintendo's silence and worried for them as next-gen consoles approach. But what do you guys think? Is Nintendo's minimal game output acceptable, or are you expecting them to put out more titles? And what did you think of the Direct Mini? Let me know in the comments below. Protendo, out.